Taoiseach, as I stand here, people have been waiting 3.5 years in acute pain for an orthopaedic appointment and a whopping 4.5 years for a respiratory appointment. That's a 54-month waiting list for respiratory appointments, and we're about to face into a potential avalanche of respiratory cases as a result of long COVID. According to research by the Oireachtas Library, which I commissioned, an estimated 114,500 people and rising have long COVID in Ireland, and it is rapidly becoming a hidden iceberg of long-term chronic illness for our struggling health service. In December, a Royal College of Physicians of Ireland analysis of the shortfall in cancer diagnoses equates to a delayed diagnosis for invasive cancers of between 7 and 10 every day in 2020 alone. That's someone's mother, father, wife, husband, sister, brother, daughter or son. Last year, while still dealing with COVID, the HSE had to grapple with the cyber attack. On top of that, GP attendances are also down significantly due to a mixture of reasons, including cost, private patients unable to access any GP, and those lucky enough to have a GP finding it difficult to get appointments. All of these delays are leading to cancer being diagnosed at a later stage of the disease, when treatment options are limited, and tragically, the prognosis is poor. Taoiseach, we urgently need to do things differently if we are to address these appalling waiting lists once and for all. Now, there is no doubt that recruitment of staff is key, but we've already seen from the Department of Health disclosure on Sunday, which was subsequently backed up by the HSE Chief Executive, that we will be at least 4,500 staff short in the health service recruitment drive this year. Now, I accept that we cannot just magically make staff appear, but we could sponsor students in training today on the basis that they commit to working within our health service for a period after graduating. And secondly, we need to look at the way our health system works now and how we can actually speed it up. For example, we could maximise the use of our existing health infrastructure by extending the operational hours, so we get more scans done on the same machine, including Saturdays and Sundays, as well as using the spare diagnostic capacity within our smaller hospitals.
Well, I thank the Deputy for raising this very important issue. I also thank the Deputy for the research that he's commissioned. I think it's interesting analysis. Maybe I suggest a preliminary analysis in respect of long COVID that certainly will be part and parcel of the health service for quite some time to come, and will be a significant challenge for clinicians for some time to come, and needs to be monitored. And I know steps are being taken also from a research perspective to analyse and to monitor this in a rigorous way to make sure that we can look after people, and also obviously see the more medium to long-term impacts of COVID-19 on people and a certain cohort of people. In respect of waiting lists more generally, they were too long before COVID-19. That's the first point. The base was high coming into COVID-19. They've got worse because of COVID-19 into two lockdowns in particular. The first lockdown in 2020, the second lockdown because of Alpha variant in 2021. And then the short-term plan in the autumn, that worked well actually, reduced waiting lists by about 6%. But unfortunately then we had the restrictions coming into the end of December, January, where the health service were told and hospitals were told to focus almost exclusively on the COVID and the Omicron issue. The Minister will shortly be announcing and bringing to government a waiting list initiative for 2022, but coupled with that, a multi-annual waiting list initiative in terms of getting those waiting times and numbers on the lists significantly down, from outpatient to inpatient to day case, including, of course, diagnostics and so forth. And that needs a very comprehensive plan. The overall sum of money is around 350 million. that will be made available in 2022 to deal with the waiting lists, including obviously the public health system, including the National Treatment Purchase Fund and utilisation of private sector capacity in an all-out effort to get these lists significantly down. Emerging from COVID, this is a key target and challenge. You are correct also to identify room for efficiencies, particularly the utilisation of equipment and facilities over the weekend period and so on. And every available opportunity to do that will be done in the context of this plan. It's jointly chaired, the task force, by the Secretary-General of the Department of Health with the Chief Executive Officer of the HSE and with the senior HSE team on that task force, as well with other key officials, to make sure that there's a relentless focus on getting the waiting times and the waiting lists down, because it's important in terms of people's individual health and the overall health of the country.
Thank you. Taoiseach, Deputy Naughten.
Taoiseach, I'm not disputing that the government is spending money. This year we'll spend €40,000 every single minute on our health service. But just throwing money at our waiting list does not work within our health service. We need to see structural reform. Take the Rapid Access Hematuria Clinic, the blood and urine clinic at Roscommon University Hospital, where 10% of referred patients have been diagnosed with cancer. It treats 70% of patients in one visit, and 100% of patients are seen within the 28-day target time for urgent cases. Yet this service has not been rolled out anywhere else. There are many cases of good practice in our health service, but these never get mainstreamed because it clashes with someone else's agenda. Taoiseach, this has to stop. There is something fundamentally wrong when it's easier to spend money on treating patients in private hospitals than support innovation in our public hospitals, which can make a real difference in the long term to our waiting lists.
Thank you, Deputy Naughten. Taoiseach.
Well, again, we do need reform. Of course we need reform. And I think in the progress report in Sligo that I think will be released later today, you can see all of the work in terms of primary care centres, more and more primary care centres opening, GP chronic disease management improving all of the time, GP access to diagnostics, 135,000 radiology tests delivered in the community in 2021. Community intervention teams, now we have national coverage. Approximately 18.7 million hours of home supports delivered in 2021. That's helping over 5,521 people receiving that service. That's 2.7 million hours more compared to 2020. Very significant progress by Minister Mary Butler in that area. And there's much more needs to be done. I think we need elective care facilities. We need to get them rolled out. There's proposals that's come in for Cork, Galway and Dublin. And I know people from the Midwest are now making submissions in that regard. They're very important as well. Delighted you raised Roscommon, because maybe others across the country would take note that when people are saying we're going to do different types of services in hospitals, that it doesn't mean a downgrading, but rather an enhancement of services for people. Sorry? The Minister met the team below there in terms of what you referenced earlier. But the point I'm making is, I've heard nothing but positives about the manner in which the reconfiguration of Roscommon Hospital happened, as opposed to people just chasing the latest electoral sort of stunt, which has happened for over 30 years. And I think we just need to. But I'm not. I mean, genuinely. Look, I'm just saying it should inform debates as well, Deputy, across the country and other locations. A lot can happen.
Thank you very much.